So we're continuing the final fight between Izuku and Shigaraki here, and in the previous chapter we saw Izuku going after Shigaraki with the intent of finishing the fight by transferring all of the remaining One For All vestiges into him in a way to like break through his subconscious and bring out his child personality, the Tenko Shimura aspect of him, to I guess absolve like the Shigaraki consciousness. And your guess is as good as mine as to how he's going to win, or I don't know, undo Shigaraki after that point. He actually even brings it up in this chapter, which we'll talk about. But as Izuku was going to land that final blow on him, he suddenly saw Shigaraki's childhood home in front of him, because as they have been fighting and as Izuku has been transferring these vestiges to Shigaraki, this phenomenon has been happening between the two quirks, One For All and All For One, where they're like reliving and re-seeing the memories of each other throughout the series. And coming into this chapter, Izuku has successfully landed that punch on Shigaraki, transferring almost all of the remaining vestiges into him and like breaking through that inner barrier that we've been seeing that's like holding back the Tenko aspect of him. And I say almost all of the vestiges because it turns out that Nana Shimura, the grandmother of Shigaraki, wasn't able to break through. And it's apparently because she has like her own personal hangups with Shigaraki. Because the last time that the All For One and One For All quirk factors like interacted and Shigaraki was able to see Nana, he said that, you know, rest assured, Grandma, I also hate you. And it's not because he hates me. Referring to his father, of course, who is the son of Nana. So meanwhile, we cut over to Izuku, who after this collision and the transfer of the other vestiges is now just standing in front of Shigaraki's childhood home. We're actually seeing his mom's name like on the doorbell, Maggie Shimura, which we didn't know before. And as he rings the doorbell, like this cool looking like shadowy apparition version of Izuku appears in front of him, and he's like, you know, what will change after knowing about the past? And it turns out that this is like Shigaraki's defense mechanism appearing as what he sees as Izuku, I suppose. And Izuku's like, I don't know, but I don't want things to end without knowing. Which is like Izuku's whole thing about how he's going about trying to get through to Shigaraki. Like, he could have probably killed him, in my opinion, despite the series saying that he couldn't have, but I'm pretty sure he could have like popped Shigaraki's head at any point if he really wanted to. But we know that that's not how our boy Izuku goes down. He's not a murderer. He will try to break through to you and touch your heart in order to defeat you. Also, in this flashback, alternate reality, or whatever Izuku is in right now, this phenomenon, it turns out that he can interact with it, like alter the memories or something, because a truck that's just randomly coming by hits him and like nicks his backpack. So I've talked about this before, but this is like full-blown quirk singularity stuff. Not like the end of the world aspect of the theory, but just that quirks become so powerful that they no longer make sense. And they're just too powerful that they start just manipulating reality on a level that just cannot be understood. Like two quirks interacting like this, they're able to interact with each other's memories on like a tangible scale and like alter the way that they play out somewhat too. Not that it's like changing history or anything, but just what they're experiencing is changing. And now that Nana is the only vestige left with Izuku, they're like talking about what's going on and like, yeah, we're at Shigaraki's core, his origin. This is the most delicate and weak spot, of course, because this is where Tenko is, or this is where Shigaraki was born, essentially, when the decay quirk took hold of him and he accidentally killed his family. And I guess we're like at the day that this is happening, because it hasn't happened yet. But first, let's talk about this live action My Hero Academia film that is currently in production by Frequency Optics. It's going to honor the anime spirit by featuring a fight from the anime and manga adapted and optimized as a YouTube video in live action. Because surprisingly, this is lacking from YouTube. You can even search yourself. It's going to have Japanese actors who are fluent and also have martial arts expertise, because they're also going to be trained by personal trainers for months to ensure authenticity and incredible fight scenes. And this project also needs your support, and you could do that by pledging to their Kickstarter, which is now live. And you can check the link in the description, guys. But now Izuku is like trying to go into the house once again because his shadowy apparition self has dissipated. And now Stain is confronting him. This is, of course, like another memory that Shigaraki has because, you know, way back in season 2 when Stain came into the picture, he originally was interacting with like the League of Villains. And he saw Shigaraki as like a fraud and like he knocked him to the ground and put like his 2 knives besides his head. And he's doing the same thing to Izuku here. But Stain like quickly dissipates and turns into Redestro. And Redestro's like, you know, what burdens do you bear? What do you seek to build? Like the same thing that he told to Shigaraki in the end of the My Villain Academia arc. And then Redestro like transforms into Overhaul. And Overhaul's like, got a plan. Like this is what he told to Shigaraki as well. So it's a pretty cool callback to seeing like some of the major villains throughout the series and their iconic lines with Shigaraki and how they correlate to what Izuku is doing now. Because everything they said to Shigaraki, like those lines, especially with Stain, which I forgot to mention, he says, that's why you're about to die. Maybe not so much with Izuku here, but that's more so what Shigaraki wants to do. But Redestro and Overhaul's quotes here to Izuku have like this nice parallel to the two characters because, you know, it originally correlated to Shigaraki's path to becoming like the absolute evil, like the head of all villains in the world and everything, and now this correlates to Izuku's plan to defeat Shigaraki. And ultimately Izuku's like, no, I don't have a plan, so get out of my way. And that goes back to what I was saying in the beginning, like there is no real concrete plan at this point as to how Izuku can break through to Shigaraki and touch his heart, because he's beyond saving. And I mean like Shigaraki himself, like what he has become. Like I don't really think he can go back at this point, and that's kind of what the narrative and Horikoshi has been telling us. That's why Izuku is so hell-bent on getting through to Tenko, because Tenko is who Shigaraki originally was. Like, he was innocent. He actually liked heroes. He wanted to become one like his grandmother, which unfortunately led to him becoming what he is now. And speaking of that, as Izuku opens the door, he sees like this old picture of Nana with Kotaro, Shigaraki's father, as a child. And we're also seeing other memories of Shigaraki's sister saying like, hey, let's be a brother-sister hero team, but keep it a secret from dad. And then once Kotaro, his father, sees that he's been idolizing the picture of Nana and wants to kind of be a hero as well, he, abuses Tenko. That's like the whole thing about this piece of crap character, is that he abuses Tenko, and he always kind of has. Well, as long as we have known about this going on. And Kotaro has like this major hang-up because Nana abandoned him. And yes, technically she did abandon him, but she kind of had to, because All For One was always going after her, always going after the loved ones of the users of One For All in an attempt to get to One For All ultimately. And you know, in an ironic twist, it was all for naught, because he still ultimately wound up targeting Nana's family in the end anyway with her grandson. And that's how he got through to getting One For All, or at least closest to getting it in the end. But, you know, as we've also talked about, it was his own undoing, because it was the same thing that had this whole big stupid plan that has like 1,000 steps in it blow up in his face, just the way that Bakugo did. But the characters here, Nana and Izuku, are seeing this for the first time, because I'm pretty sure no one knew about the abuse that Shigaraki underwent besides like All For One and Yujiko. So now Nana's seeing this for the first time. She breaks down, finally seeing like what was left after she had died, like what Kotaro, her son, had grown up to be, like an abusive piece of crap who's like really upset over something that's not really that big of a deal. And yeah, I get it, getting abandoned by your mother, terrible. But I don't know why Nana just didn't tell him like, hey, there's like this Antichrist supervillain that's like targeting us, and I'm trying to keep you safe, so I can't like be your mom. I'm sorry, and I'm the only one who can like stand against him. And I'm not powerful enough right now because One For All hasn't been cultivated enough. She was training All Might. Like, he hadn't become God yet. He only became God after Nana had died. Like, after he had died, that was kind of like the catalyst for him to go to America and start training and cultivating One For All and like grinding it out and becoming all powerful. So despite him being a kid, I'm pretty sure she could have explained that to him. But regardless, there's no excuse for Kotaro to grow up to be the absolute piece of garbage that he is. Like, I hate this character. You're supposed to hate him. He's easily the worst character in the series. But just seeing him again just, like, makes me, like, just really see how despicable he is. And I wonder if this is, like, going into any personal things with Horikoshi to make a character like this and have him so integral to the story. But as Kotaro goes to hit Tenko again, Izuku comes in and he's trying to like stop him, but there's like this barrier stopping him. And Izuku pressing onto the barrier makes his palm light up. Now, I don't know if this is signifying that he is breaking through the barrier or it's signifying that there's some kind of all-for-one thing going on with him, because you know, the glowing center in the hand or the hole in the hand has always been like all for one's thing. Like that comes with his quirk. It's also analogous to Christ as well, but more so in this series, all for one. And I've talked about before how I think Izuku will wind up getting the all for one quirk and mixing it with one for all and, I don't know, becoming all powerful that way or something like that. I don't know, but maybe I'm looking too much into this sequence. But like I said, Izuku does eventually break through this barrier and stops Tenko from getting hit, but also Nana comes through the barrier as well and grabs Kotaro, preventing him from striking Tenko in the first place, saying like, you know, I'm sorry for not coming back to you, which, you know, is too little too late, because she's not really saying this to Kotaro. She's kind of just saying it to the abstraction of the memory that they're experiencing right now, but still Kotaro is like reacting to it, and after she does this, he like dissipates, and we see Tenko like, I don't know, morphing into another memory at this point after Izuku tries to console him, but it takes them to the follow-up of the birth of Decay. Like, once Tenko finally gets Decay and, like, he accidentally kills the dog, and then the rest of the family comes outside and he accidentally kills them. Izuku's about to witness all of this, and the narration is, like, the origin of Decay. And like I said, this is where it started, but I think in the next chapter we're finally going to see the moments where All For One sneakily gave Tenko the all-for-one quirk, which of course led to this big compound effect that, you know, gave birth to Shigaraki. And yeah, that's going to be an even tougher chapter than this one, but let me know what you think about this one in the comments, guys. If you liked it, please give it a like and please subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.